That's a lot of nuts!
That's a lot of cash, bro. 100 million big ones? To a Twitch streamer? Obviously, I know that playing video games can be profitable. It's kind of my job. But 100 mil? And they don't even tell you what game you gotta play? I would have sworn it'd be Genshin Impact. For those who are unaware, XQC, one of the biggest streamers on Twitch, was just reportedly signed to a $100 million contract to switch over and stream on Kick. Although not even really switch over, because the contract is non-exclusive, which means he can still stream on Twitch and on Kick. And now he just makes 100 mil for it. People have been placing infographics next to this news about XQC, comparing him to some of the highest paid professional athlete contracts in the world. For those of you who can't fathom what $100 million looks like, just think of it like a salary for one of your favorite sports enthusiasts. Except this is like if Lewis Hamilton made sweet love to Cristiano Ronaldo and their child was raised by Brett Favre and was kind of good at Overwatch 3. This headline is garnering a tremendous amount of attention online for more reason than just big streamer gets paid big number. This is a culmination of a number of historic events that have taken place over the course of history that have all sort of come together to point the finger at Twitch as a live streaming service that doesn't do a very good job at treating its streamers good. Several years ago at this point, there was a live streaming service that came to fruition by the name of Mixer that was funded, backed, and developed by Microsoft of all people. And even at that time, there were a lot of murmurings about the issues that were going on with Twitch.tv, where most people go and live stream. Twitch at the time was really only coming under fire for things such as unfair banning and people being removed from the platform or having their accounts suspended, unable to stream. Many streamers, such as like Pay Money Wubby, had found themselves banned off the platform for 3 days or more, and when they were finally able to receive access back to their account, they got no clear reason other than, whoops, sorry bro, as to why they suddenly couldn't work for 3 days. On top of that, Twitch as a platform takes some of the largest cuts out of the paycheck of their creators. Here on YouTube, when it comes to ad dollars, YouTube takes about 45% of all the ad money that a YouTuber gets, but they only take about 30% when it comes to gifted memberships, things that people actually pay money to their streamers or their YouTubers for. They only take about 30% of that. But on Twitch, that number has been 50%, and that number's been 50% for a very long time. And the biggest draw on Mixer was that they were taking a smaller cut. So if you had the same amount of people donating money to you, you could be the exact same size and effectively garner an extra 25, 35, 45% of your income, which sounds like a good deal. It is incredibly difficult to move from platform to platform in any capacity, but especially in live streaming. Twitch started as Justin TV and practically invented live streaming when it comes to speedrunning, video games, and even IRL vlogging if you're going to be live streaming with a chat. That is the place you go to and has historically been the place you went to if you wanted to engage in, watch, or stream yourself on the internet. And to move to a different platform that hasn't been around as long as Twitch can be a little bit scary. But the fact that Mixer was signed and owned by Microsoft at this point, and the fact that they dropped $30 million to acquire Ninja, who at the time was the largest streamer in the world, in any capacity, as well as Shroud for an additional $10 million, getting these big brand names, these massive streamers over to the platform, provided a tremendous level of legitimacy and really made people feel like Mixer was in it for the long haul and was a legitimate platform for you to try and build a career on. Until it died. Mixer, less than a year after spending upwards of $40 million to sign some of the largest live streamers in history to live stream exclusively on their platform, announced the end of Mixer. That they would be discontinuing the service altogether within a matter of a couple of months, citing that they had an inability to scale the operation. They didn't really know how they were going to make it bigger. And this is after spending a tremendous amount of money to collect some of the biggest players in the game. Microsoft decided that keeping this thing up and running wasn't worth the cash. And so what felt like overnight, Shroud was out, Ninja was out, although they received the entirety of their contract, full $10 million, $30 million contracts paid to them overnight, and everybody else was offered the opportunity to move their streaming career over to Facebook Gaming, where they would be guaranteed a little bit of money each month, and then basically you're on your own. Mixer disappearing overnight was a huge deal. Everybody knows that competition breeds innovation. The more players that there are in the game, the better that the game gets for the consumers. So if you want to be somebody who watches live streams, video games, speedrunning, or just your favorite YouTuber over on twitch.tv, the more people that there are and the more places that they can stream, the better it is for everybody. People had made careers over on Mixer, either because they like the idea of making more money or having more freedom, or because they didn't like the idea of streaming on Twitch. Even back in 2019, 2020, when Mixer was as prominent as it was, people had their issues with Twitch randomly banning people, not giving reasons why. It was actually the height of the first instance of the hot tub meta, where basically every big space was taken over by girls in scantily clad clothing, hardly gaming and mostly just coming up with an excuse to advertise their OnlyFans and whatever else. There were legitimate reasons that Twitch needed to crack down on their platform before people were happy with it, but in the meantime, it was good to know that there was competition and other places to go to. So when Mixer disappeared overnight, leaving thousands of streamers without a place to stream anymore, people had a pretty bad taste in their mouth about having to return to Twitch, although for a lot of them it was their only option. Not only this, but there was also a lot of burnt bridges between the people who moved and Twitch themselves. Ninja had a ton of petty stuff done to him when he signed over to Mixer. Twitch took away his emotes and his verified badge on Twitch literally the next day. They had this situation where they promoted other streamers on Ninja's channel when people clicked on his channel because he still had like 10 million followers or whatever. In one situation, one of those dudes was just streaming porn. So when you clicked on Ninja's channel on Twitch, even though he didn't stream there, you would just get hardcore pornography, which obviously looks bad on Ninja. Even to this moment, it is still the most trusted rumor that the reason that Dr. Disrespect was banned off of Twitch is because they were in talks of signing a contract to prevent Dr. Disrespect from streaming somewhere else. And then when Mixer disappeared overnight, Twitch decided, well, we don't want to pay you all this money to not stream on a platform that doesn't exist anymore. So we're just going to ban you. Again, there's no evidence that that's actually what happened, but there's also no evidence that that isn't what happened. So that's what happened. Twitch isn't any different from any other large video platform. There's plenty of reasons that YouTube has been hated on over the course of time. Demonetization, people losing access to their channels, people being hacked, unfair implementations of the yellow check mark and what have you. When you're as big as these platforms are, you're going to be a little slow to reacting to stuff. And as a result, people are going to be mad at you a lot for a lot of things kind of all the time. Twitch is no exception to this. Over the course of the last few years, people have been mad about things like the hot tub meta. Gambling has been a primary one. People being banned or suspended for reasons that they haven't understood. Most recently, it's been because of a couple of things. One, Twitch recently introduced the 50-50 sub-split. Previous to this, there were a few, albeit very few, and typically very large streamers that were receiving a 70-30 sub-split, meaning they would keep 70% of the income from people subscribing to their channel versus the vast majority of people who would receive 50%. And that was taken away. It makes sense for Twitch and the longevity of things to not give away 70% of the income from some of the largest creators on their platform, but anytime that somebody's getting something for using your service and then you take it away without replacing it with anything, without so much as an apology, it sucks. So naturally, people were upset about that. Twitch just earlier this week introduced a bunch of changes to the way that streamers would be able to advertise sponsors, limiting the sponsors they could work with by permitting only certain sized ads and certain incorporations into their stream, effectively providing nothing to the streamer via Twitch and taking away a massive source of revenue from streamers on Twitch. It's basically like if YouTube came out and said, hey, you can't have sponsors for your videos anymore. That'd be the huge suck. Twitch got so much backlash over this. Moist Critical made several videos. Everybody with a platform made several videos because this was an objectively shitty move that did nothing but hurt streamers' abilities to turn this into their career, that they eventually backtracked. They tried to cover it up by saying that they were aiming to only make it apply to like people who had embedded TV shows and live performances and whatever, but it was pretty clear that Twitch was trying to make a move to make it so that you had to come to Twitch and go through Twitch to make your sponsor money, and they got enough shit for it that they eventually let off. Twitch then also brought back the 70-30 sub split. You have to have 350 paid subs, which is basically the equivalent of being one of the largest streamers on the platform. Some of the numbers I have seen have stated that only 1,000 out of the 75,000 partners on Twitch even qualify for the 70-30 split. But it's continued the narrative that Twitch doesn't really know what it's doing, and half the time that it does something, it seems because of monetary greed, that they just want to make as much money as possible, get as profitable as possible, even if that looks terrible to the people who literally built their website up to what it is. and it sucks. Naturally, just like the times of Mixer, any other competition is going to look like attractive competition, although this one's a little bit weird. Kick came to fruition during the era that gambling was banned on Twitch. If you guys recall, Twitch had a massive gambling problem where people would be using cryptocurrency gambling websites to play slots, blackjack, and whatever else to tens of thousands of people. It was extremely popular to watch these people spend literally millions of dollars that could disappear or multiply 10x or 500x over the course of many, many hours. It was one of the biggest channels, one of the biggest categories on Twitch, and some of the biggest streamers, Trainwrecks, XQC, you could probably name others if you did any research, were all partaking. Gambling was a huge issue on Twitch, not just because it promoted gambling on a website that is majorly comprised of people under the ages of 18, so it was effectively marketing or advertising gambling to minors, at the very least exposing gambling to minors. But there has been very many cases where people have been proven to not even be using their own money. That Stake, the company that owns and funds these online crypto casinos, were under the table giving money to these streamers that they would gamble with, and so they could lose tremendous amounts of money, make it back later that day, and would basically end up even, although only by spending inconceivable amounts of money that normal people who are gambling with their own money would never be able to recoup in any category, in any way whatsoever. So gambling is shitty. Newsflash there. The biggest issue with Kick, the platform that XQC moved over to, is that it was invented, founded, funded by Stake, the same company that owns these online casinos. It is being promoted and is currently co-owned by Trainwrecks, the largest gambling streamer when streaming was at its height over on Twitch, who has now more or less moved full-time over to Kick. Naturally, you can see why it feels like the overall objective of Kick, whether it be to garner streamers and be a better platform than Twitch in one way or another, may seem to all culminate back to trying to get more people to watch gambling streams and join their online casinos in one way or another. This isn't helped by the fact that gambling streams are allowed on Kick, alongside many other things that are completely banned on Twitch, such as just full-on nudity. Aiden Ross most famously streamed the entirety of the Super Bowl, which is not okay in any capacity, but just sort of happened over on Kick. It has become the go-to place for streamers that were banned off of Twitch, such as Ice Poseidon, and again, probably others if I did any research. And to top it all off, XQC also did a tremendous amount of gambling on Twitch, although he received significantly more backlash than most, being a much bigger streamer than most, and also having some of the biggest headlines for the tremendous amounts of money that he lost. There were different bouts of drama with him supposedly actually losing that money, and his family and his close friends being worried about his gambling addiction, if you could call it that. So to see XQC move over to Kick, it's a little bit bittersweet. On one hand, it's a streamer, somebody who has the same career that I do, getting paid unprecedented amounts of money in a way that legitimizes the platform. The dude is being compared to LeBron James in terms of the money that he's making, and he's doing the job that I do. So obviously, as an online personality, there is a sense of like, yeah, go XQC, secure the bag, bro. But on the other hand, think about how much shit we gave Twitch about everything. Hot tub streaming, not paying your streamers properly, all the stuff that people have gotten mad about Twitch, one of the largest instances of which was allowing gambling. And now here's this huge vocal majority of people online that are now praising Kick for being anything other than Twitch, despite the fact that that website was completely founded by gambling money, is currently fueled by gambling money, and to the best of anybody's knowledge might ultimately simply be aiming to introduce you to gambling. There unfortunately isn't a nice, tidy conclusion to any of this. A, because it's sort of an ongoing story. To see how all of this plays out, we're probably gonna have to wait at least to the end of the year and maybe longer. But B, also because every one of these platforms and every one of these decisions that anybody makes on where to stream or where to watch has their pros and cons. Twitch has been around forever. It's probably the most established place for you to start, grow, and preserve a career. But it's been very clear that over the course of the last few years, the company has done a tremendous amount of moves to be very anti-creator, very toxic towards the people trying to use their platform, and it doesn't look like that's changing anytime soon without some serious competition to push them in the right direction. At the same time, Kick looks attractive. They clearly have a ton of money. They let you keep 95% of your revenue, but it does feel a little bit icky to be on a platform that still allows everything that Twitch banned years ago. That has effectively just become the safe haven for people who have been banned or were too edgy for other platforms. Is it going to be legitimized by the fact that they dropped $100 million to grab one of the biggest streamers in the world? Maybe, but at the same time, you know PewDiePie, right? He's a pretty big content creator. Do you even remember the name of the live streaming platform that he tried to promote after he stopped streaming on Twitch? Do you remember DLive? Do you watch anybody on DLive? Do you currently stream on DLive? And PewDiePie's got a much bigger audience than XQC does. And by the way, if spending a ton of money to garner a tremendous amount of audience worked, we also got to take a look back at Mixer that did everything right in their ability to be a sustainable place for creators, paid the money to sign over people just like Kick is doing, and still, with massive analytics, a huge company funding everything that they've got, decided that it wasn't worth it and bailed on the entirety of the idea. All of this culminates to say that these sorts of moves are really only for big streamers. Because as I said at the beginning of this video, moving from any one place where your audience is to another place is incredibly difficult. I tell you guys to come and check me out on Twitch, and I still get comments telling me to kill myself because you guys don't want to watch me play video games. Why don't you just stream on YouTube, Samet? Well, if I went live on this platform, thousands of people would unsubscribe because you didn't sign up to watch me play video games. You signed up to watch me talk about this stuff. The best thing that Kick can do, in my opinion, is at least steer Twitch in the right direction. And who knows? Maybe it does become the legitimate platform. Maybe it does completely move to an era where it's going to follow all the same guidelines that everybody else does, allow ad support, and be a place that everybody can be confident is going to stick around and do the right thing by everybody's metrics. Maybe. That's pretty much all I got to say about this story. Hope you guys were informed. Remember to subscribe if you want videos like this every week. Big shout out to the Patreon boy scrolling in the back. You can join if you want to support the show. I am very curious to hear any of your insights down in the comments. Do you think Kick is a legitimate platform that is something that you might use? Or do you think its popularity is really just rage fuel that people are trying to, you know, like get rid of their bad emotions on Twitch by just using anything else? Because that's where I think most people are sitting at this point. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.